Well, I wanted to continue to discuss thyroid disorders and just how serious of an issue this has become. We got such a huge response last week on the show. Had so many people with great questions, and they people were a little more interested, and I didn't get enough time to talk about why the thyroid malfunctions, so I wanted to get into that just a little bit more today. But there are many reasons why the thyroid stops working, and only by discovering the reason why it's malfunctioning can we begin to find ways to improve it. So without figuring out the why, you can't really figure out what do we need to do about it. And now traditional treatment for thyroid disorders, like traditional medical treatment for thyroid problems, has not changed since the 1960s. I mean, there hasn't been a change in the way that that's evaluated and treated literally in decades. There's been no new discoveries or ideas because it's so simple to just say your TSH is low, take this forever. And so since that's such a simple thing, there really hasn't been any big advances until now in the
you know how many people take thyroid medicine every day?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's actually, there's millions of people. And so the thing about your thyroid just stopping working, it doesn't really work that way, guys. You know, your thyroid doesn't just all of a sudden go on vacation and stop working one day. There's a reason why these things happening. And if you don't look at the reasons why, how are you ever going to fix the problem? Now, even stranger than that is when I hear your thyroid quit working, we're going to have to take it out. Now, hold on a second. I mean, that will never make sense to me. You know, your gallbladder has stopped working. We're going to have to take it out. Like what that? I'll never understand that as long as I live. So, you know, let's figure out why your organs don't just go on strike and stop working without a reason.
Oh, well, I'm done with you.
Yeah. So I have what some people consider a strange philosophy when it comes to, you know, health and disease and sickness and disease. My philosophy is a little different. I believe that our bodies were designed to not be broken down all the time, and that our symptoms are a sign of a problem, not the problem. And that we weren't born with too many organs, so that you have to take them out to be healthy. Our organs have a reason that they were put there. So taking them out is not an avenue to achieve higher health. Covering up symptoms is simply ignoring the underlying issues. And so that would be like, just imagine if you saved up for 2 years and you went and you bought your dream car, like you were so happy you finally got the car of your dreams, and you're driving it home. And you look down and the check engine light comes on. And then a block later, the transmission light comes on. And then the service light comes on. So you turn around and you pull into the dealership, obviously not happy. And you drag the salesman and the mechanic out there, and they look at it and they go, "We found the problem. Your check engine light's on." And they put tape over it and charge you $200. Like you would never accept that for your car. Why do you do that for your body? You do the exact same thing. You know, I have this symptom. I'm gonna pay $200 to go cover that symptom up and continue to leave the problem there. So people treat their car better than they do their body, and you can't trade your body in on a new one like you can a car. So you
also just can't take out your fuel pump. You need it.
That's it, exactly. So my philosophy is a little different. I think that we need to pay attention to symptoms and find out the reasons why. So one of the main reasons why the thyroid and hormones are such a large problem these days is because there's a very specific set of environmental chemicals that we're exposed to literally every single day that directly destroy thyroid tissue.
You know, like conventional doctors are going to listen to you this morning and go, "What a quack."
Yeah.
You know, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Traditional
that
doctors,
makes no sense.
Traditional doctors are going to be like, environmental.
Yeah.
So explain that.
So I have a whole file cabinet full of proof that there are 4 main environmental chemicals that we're exposed to literally every single day that are now proven to destroy thyroid tissue. So I've got a list of those chemicals, and I'm going to go through where we get them from. So let's go ahead and get our break out of the way, because I have a kind of a long second segment. I'm going to sit down and explain to you what these 4 things are and what you can watch for. And part of the pathway to becoming healthier with your thyroid is that you have to eliminate these chemicals and then stop putting more of them in your body. But these things are now, this is not my opinion. It's hard facts. It's proof that there's 4 different environmental chemicals that are destroying our thyroid function. So stay tuned. Yeah, so there's 4, I think I might have 5 things here that could be interrupting your normal thyroid function, and only by discovering the why are we ever going to figure out the what to do. Now, one of the first things that we look for is heavy metals. So what happens inside the thyroid gland is the thyroid gland takes tyrosine, which is part of what it uses to build thyroid hormone, but it takes tyrosine and joins that with.
She was in my biology class in 1977, Centerville High. Honest to God.
Y'all dated?
Yeah. No, she didn't like me much.
So what happens is it joins with iodine. So you always hear people say, "Oh, you have thyroid problems, take iodine supplements." But what happens is heavy metals like lead, mercury, and cadmium, what they do is they block the iodine receptors so the iodine can't go in and do its job. We have a lot of iodine in our food in Louisiana. That's usually not the problem. People usually don't have just a real shortage of iodine in their body, but what they do have is heavy metals that are clogging the iodine's ability to join tyrosine. So, and I know that gets pretty technical. That's pretty in the weeds for the radio, but so what happens is if you have these heavy metals, which by the way, Louisiana has the second highest concentration of these metals next to New Jersey in the country. And so there's a lot of heavy metal toxicity down here. And if you have too many heavy metals in your body, it's going to block your thyroid's ability to take iodine.
Where does it come from?
Well, it's literally everywhere. I mean, it's in the ground, it's in our water, it's in
Magma Lake pots.
Yeah, lots of different places. I mean, we have a lot of industry here, a lot of plants, and those factories, and those you generally are one of the reasons we have that. Plus, the other reason is because a lot of the chemicals that are sprayed all throughout the United States all wash into the rivers, and that all ends up, we're kind of at the bottom of all that. So whatever's happens north of us all ends up down here in our water and in our food. So, we're kind of the bottom of the list whenever it comes to whatever's washed down in the United States ends up here. So that's the other reason. Now, the second thing that needs to be checked is that we need to check for something called phthalates. Now, phthalates are what gives plastic flexibility, and they are literally in everything. I mean, just stop and look at what you eat or drink every day that comes out of plastic. I mean, it's a lot. Used to they didn't have plastic. Even milk came in glass.
Right.
So now there's so much plastics out there that these phthalates from the plastic are getting into our body, and they're proven without a doubt to be thyroid and hormone disruptors. Now, the other thing that plastic releases is something called BPA or bisphenol A. BPA is also found in the linings of canned foods, and these are proven to disrupt thyroid function and the body's ability to manufacture hormones. And so those two things come from plastics and come from a lot of the food supplies that come in plastics or packaged in plastics. Now, the other one is a flame retardant called polybrominated diphenyl ether. Now, this was put on...
No, say what? Say it again?
Called polybrominated diphenyl ether. It's a flame retardant. And so back in the 80s, the government said all couches, carpeting, draperies, all that had to be sprayed with flame retardant or treated with flame retardant. And we now know that that's a major hormone and thyroid disruptor. And there's still a lot of that. I mean, a lot of these guys that work at the plants wear the flame-resistant clothing, with the suits, I forget what the suits, like the red suits they wear, like at Halliburton and all that, those suits they wear are flame...
Coveralls?
Yeah, the kind of coverall things they wear. Those are flame retardant. And so this chemical has been proven to disrupt hormones and disrupt thyroid. And so also they were even putting this on kids' pajamas back in the 80s.
That's right.
So these polybrominated chemicals are proven to be thyroid disruptors. Now, the last one on the list is perfluorinated chemicals, and these are your stain resistors. So also these are in Teflon pans, are also perfluorinated chemicals. So the Teflon pan you cook with is still scratched up at the bottom and you still use it, throw it away. That is releasing perfluorinated chemicals in your food, and these are also proven to cause thyroid and hormone disruption.
Wait, so it's okay if it's not scratched?
Yeah, you won't get as much, but typically once it starts to flake off, you'll
see.
Get much more of it.
Okay.
But you do get some. So the best pan you can use are these organic pans, or you see these green pans these days, and this has become so well known now that companies are making non-toxic pans and they're advertising those. Like Organic is usually the brand that I buy. The other place that you see these is in fast food wrappers. The reason your grease from your taco doesn't soak through the wrapper and get into the bag is because the wrapper is lined with perfluorinated chemicals, and it prevents this sort of stain from getting through. So perfluorinated chemicals are sort of sealers. They're stain resistors. Also, like stain-resistant carpeting, microwave popcorn is places that you find this. So I'll give you an example of this. I was actually shopping around for some clothes online the other day, and I got on this Duluth Trading Company website.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've seen they have funny commercials. So I got on there and I was looking. They have really neat looking stuff. But almost every pair of pants that they had on there, they were bragging about treated with our special stain resistant chemical. And so people don't think about that. They think, oh, great, it won't stain if I spill coffee on it. But what they don't realize is those chemicals, those very same chemicals, disrupt our hormones and disrupt our thyroid. And so those are not a good thing to have against your skin all day long. So stain-resistant chemical is one of the things that we find that can disrupt thyroid function. And it soaks into your skin every day.
Kids laying on the carpet, playing on the carpet.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we have to avoid these chemicals as part of a comprehensive thyroid plan. So we have to take action to get them out of the body and to get heavy metals out of the body. But the other thing we have to do is not put any more in or not let any more get in our body. And so if this is not part of a comprehensive thyroid plan, then these things may prevent success of anything else working. And so now that when we couple that with those amazing things we talked about last week where we test every little stage of the manufacturing of the thyroid hormone, we can begin to really get a picture of what is happening in the thyroid and what the process is doing. So when we couple all this new testing with getting rid of some of these things that are affecting it, you can really start to see and get a really clear picture of what's happening. Our thyroid panel tests for 9 different markers on our thyroid panel for testing. Most of the time they check for 1. And so we check for 9 different things. And so you can start to really see what the thyroid is doing and what's happening with it. So
can a thyroid that's been designated not working, can it come back to life?
Well, anything's possible, but it really just depends. Every case is individual. Sure, that's happened before. It's just really hard to say. Every case is taken on an individual basis. But that's kind of the goal, is to get the body working again and just to kind of get these things woken back up and, get them off of strike, quote unquote, so they start to work again. But so if you want to know more about this, I am having my workshop tomorrow night at 7 at the Hilton Garden Inn. It is almost full, and then they're having a class also in New Iberia. So to come to the class in Lafayette, it's 837-7174 if you want to register. Now, if you want to go to the one in New Iberia, they have a few seats left in that one as well. If we fill up, we can always send you to the one over there, and it's 367-2567, or you can find both of these numbers on our Facebook page at the Bryant Wellness Institutes. But listen, if you have hormone problems or you have thyroid problems, you want to come to this. Even if you've been told you didn't have thyroid problems, but you still don't feel right, like if you have fatigue or weight gain or low energy or you're cold all the time and your doctor told you it wasn't thyroid, some of these new markers may actually show up to show that although that one test they didn't show, we have other tests we can do that might have determined what the underlying problem actually is. So even if you don't think it's thyroid, but you still don't feel right, you should come see this new technology. It's really some amazing stuff we're doing with it.
We'll give out your phone numbers again.
All right, it's 837-7174 in Lafayette. And then in New Iberia, it's 367-2567.
Thank you, Doc.
Thanks, guys.
Dr. Kevin, Wellness Wednesday.